Suddenly, a loud crash echoes through the house. Zuri screams and Ayanda rushes toward the sound. She finds Zuri at the bottom of the attic stairs, clutching a torn piece of paper with trembling hands. Zuri, a young orphan living under the care of Ayanda, a wealthy and enigmatic widow, stumbles upon a hidden shrine in Ayanda's mansion. A shrine that holds secrets about Ayanda's late husband, Tumelo. Amidst flickering candles and dark corridors, Zuri witnesses Biko, a mysterious man, attempting to unlock the shrine. Biko's sinister intentions are revealed when he confronts Ayanda, accusing her of hiding the truth about Tumelo's death. Ayanda, protective of Zuri but battling her own buried guilt, warns the girl of Biko's dangerous motives. However, Zuri's curiosity only grows as whispers spread through the village. Rumours that Tumelo's death was not accidental, and that Ayanda may have played a role. Mama Tembo, an older woman with her own ties to Tumelo, casts doubt on Ayanda's trustworthiness, claiming that she knows more than she lets on. Meanwhile, Ayanda reveals to Zuri the existence of a ledger, a document containing Tumelo's secret deals, debts, and enemies. As Biko rallies the villagers against Ayanda, accusing her of deceit, Ayanda struggles to maintain control, knowing the truth could unravel everything she has built. With tension building, Zuri uncovers a letter from Tumelo, hinting at hidden answers tied to the ledger. As Ayanda, Zuri, and their ally Quenna dig deeper into Tumelo's shadowy past, the stakes escalate. Their discoveries point to a hidden safe within the mansion, a safe that could either expose Ayanda's innocence or confirm her guilt. The dim light from Zuri's candle flickers as she presses herself against the cold wall of the hallway, her breathing shallow. Biko's shadow stretches unnaturally across the floor as he inches closer to the shrine's door. Zuri's mind races. How does he have the key? What does he know? Her instincts scream at her to run, but fear roots her in place. As Biko reaches the door, he pauses, his hand hovering over the lock. The silence feels suffocating. Zuri musters her courage and takes a cautious step back, but the creak of the wooden floor betrays her. Biko whirls around, his sharp eyes locking onto hers. "Ah, the little spy," he says, his voice smooth yet menacing. He steps toward her, the key gleaming in his hand. "You shouldn't be here, child. Secrets like these can be dangerous." Before Zuri can respond, a sudden voice cuts through the tension. "Zuri!" Ayanda's voice echoes from the end of the hallway. Her presence is commanding, her face a mask of controlled fury. "What is going on here?" Biko straightens, slipping the key into his pocket. "Ayanda," he says smoothly, "I was just exploring. You have such a fascinating home." Ayanda strides forward, placing herself protectively between Zuri and Biko. "My home is not open for exploration," she says, her voice icy, "and you are not welcome here at this hour. Leave. Now." Biko's smile tightens, but he nods. "Of course. Another time, perhaps." As he walks away, Ayanda's fists clench. Once the door slams shut, she turns to Zuri, her expression softening slightly. "Are you hurt?" Zuri shakes her head, but her hands are trembling. "Ayanda, he has a key to the shrine." Ayanda's eyes widen momentarily before narrowing. "We need to talk," she says firmly, "but first, let's make sure he's gone." Zuri and Ayanda sit in the dimly lit study, the weight of the night's events hanging heavily between them. Ayanda's face is lined with worry, her usual calm veneer slipping. "That man is more dangerous than I thought," Ayanda says finally, her voice low. "If he has a key, it means he's been planning this for some time. But how? Who would give it to him?" Zuri hesitates before speaking. "Mama Tembo. She's been talking to him a lot." Ayanda's expression darkens. "Tembo has always been nosy, but if she's involved, I need to know why. Zuri, you must stay away from both of them," Do you understand? Zuri nods, though fear coils tightly in her chest. What if he comes back? Ayanda's eyes meet Zuri's. Then we'll be ready. But for now, you must trust me. There are things you still don't know, things I've kept from you to protect you, but it seems those days are over. Zuri leans forward, her voice barely above a whisper. What things? Ayanda sighs, running a hand over her face. Tomorrow. I promise I'll explain everything tomorrow. But tonight, you need rest. Zuri doesn't protest. As she lies in bed later, sleep doesn't come. Her thoughts are consumed by Biko, the key, and the secrets Ayanda seems so desperate to keep. The next morning, Zuri's routine feels anything but normal. As she helps Quena in the kitchen, she catches snippets of conversations outside. Villagers are whispering about Biko's presence and his growing interest in Ayanda. Quena notices Zuri's distraction. You've heard them too, haven't you? Zuri nods. What are they saying? Quena sighs, lowering her voice. They think he's here to uncover the truth about Tumelo. Some say he's connected to the accident somehow. Others believe he's here for revenge. Zuri's stomach churns. Revenge? Quena glances around before leaning closer. There are rumours that Tumelo's death wasn't an accident, that someone close to him wanted him gone. Zuri's heart pounds. Quena's words feel like confirmation of what she already suspected. But before she can ask more, a knock at the kitchen door startles them both. It's Mama Tembo. Her gaze settles on Zuri and her expression softens. Child, I need to speak with you. Alone. Quena hesitates but steps aside. Zuri follows Mama Tembo to the edge of the garden, her nerves fraying. You're in over your head, little one, Mama Tembo says, her voice firm but not unkind. Biko is not a man to be underestimated. Whatever Ayanda has told you, there is more to this story. Be careful who you trust. Zuri's voice shakes. Why, or are you helping him? Mama Tembo doesn't answer right away. When she finally speaks, her words send chills down Zuri's spine, because I believe the truth needs to come out, no matter the cost. Later that day, Ayanda calls Zuri into the study. On the desk lies an old, leather-bound ledger. Its spine is cracked, the pages yellowed with age. Ayanda's fingers rest lightly on it, as if it were both a weapon and a burden. This, Ayanda says, her voice low but steady, is what Biko is after. Zuri steps closer, her eyes fixed on the ledger. The faint scent of aged paper wafts toward her as Ayanda opens it, revealing pages filled with Tumelo's meticulous handwriting. Numbers, names, and dates fill the margins in a careful script. What is it? Zuri asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Ayanda's gaze hardens. Proof of every deal Tumelo ever made. Some of it legitimate, much of it less so. Tumelo wasn't the man everyone believes he was. He had debts, partners, and enemies. This ledger contains everything. Zuri's hands tremble as she reaches out to touch the pages. Why didn't you destroy it? Ayanda closes the ledger with a sharp snap. Because as much as I hated him for his betrayals, this ledger is my only leverage. If Biko or anyone else uncovers its contents, they could ruin not just me, but this entire village. Before Zuri can respond, a loud crash echoes from outside. Both of them rush to the window. A group of villagers has gathered near the mansion's gates, led by none other than Biko. His voice cuts through the air like a blade. Ayanda! He shouts, his tone commanding and unrelenting. It's time to face the truth. Ayanda's face pales as she grips Zuri's arm. Stay inside, she says, her voice trembling but firm. No matter what happens, do not leave this house. Zuri presses her face to the window, her heart pounding as the crowd's voices rise. Ayanda steps outside, her posture tense but composed. Zuri watches as Biko strides to the forefront, his presence commanding. He raises his hand and the villagers' murmurs quiet. "Ayanda," Biko begins, his voice dripping with false civility. "You've hidden in that mansion long enough. It's time to answer for your past." Ayanda's gaze sweeps over the crowd, her expression unreadable. "I owe you no answers," she says firmly. "This is my home and I will not be bullied." Biko's lips curl into a smirk. "Bullying, you say?" "No, Ayanda. This is justice. These people deserve the truth about Tumelo." The crowd stirs, their curiosity evident. Ayanda's shoulders stiffen. "Tumelo's death was a tragedy," she says, her voice steady but cold. "But it is in the past. Digging up old wounds will serve no one." Biko's expression darkens. "Then, perhaps, you'd care to explain this?" He holds up a piece of paper, its edges worn. Zuri squints from her position, trying to make out the writing. Ayanda's reaction is immediate. Her eyes widen and for a split second, her composure cracks. "Where did you get that?" Ayanda demands, her voice sharp. Biko takes a step closer, his smirk returning. "From someone who believes the truth should come to light. Care to tell the crowd what this ledger reveals?" Zuri's breath catches. The ledger. He has a page from it. Ayanda's gaze flickers toward the house, and for a brief moment, her eyes meet Zuri's through the window. It's a silent plea, a warning. The crowd begins to murmur again, their voices growing louder. Ayanda takes a deep breath, her expression hardening. "You think a scrap of paper can undo me?" she says, her voice cutting through the noise. "You have no idea what you're dealing with, Biko." Biko's smile falters, but he quickly recovers. "Perhaps not, but these people deserve to know who their benefactor truly is." Ayanda steps closer, her voice low but laced with steel. "And if they knew the truth about you, about why you're really here?" The crowd's murmurs quiet, their attention shifting to Biko. He tenses, his confidence wavering. "What are you implying?" Ayanda doesn't answer. Instead, she turns to the crowd, her voice rising. "This man is no seeker of truth. He is a disruptor, a man who preys on the past to serve his own agenda. Ask yourselves, why now? Why come here after all these years?" The crowd hesitates, uncertainty rippling through their ranks. Zuri watches, her heart in her throat, as the balance of power shifts before her eyes. Ayanda's gaze sweeps over the crowd, her expression unreadable. "I owe you no answers," she says firmly. "Leave my property or I'll have no choice but to involve the authorities." Biko's smirk only deepens. "Authorities, Ayanda? You think they'll side with you when they learn the truth?" Ayanda takes a step forward, her voice sharp and unyielding. "You speak of truth, Biko, but all I see is a man desperate for attention. What do you want?" Biko's eyes narrow. "I want justice, Ayanda. Tumelo's justice. You've lived comfortably off lies for too long." The crowd murmurs, uncertainty rippling through them. Ayanda turns to address them directly, her voice clear and commanding. "Ask yourselves, my friends, why now? Why come here after all these years?" The crowd hesitates, their confidence in Biko's words wavering. Biko clenches his fists, realizing he's losing their support. But as he steps back, his final words hang in the air ominously. "This isn't over, Ayanda." The mansion is eerily quiet as Ayanda retreats inside, locking the door behind her. Zuri sits in the corner of the study, her knees hugged to her chest, watching Ayanda pace back and forth. The weight of the confrontation with Biko hangs heavy in the air. "What does he mean by justice for Tumelo?" Zuri finally asks, her voice trembling. "Is it about the ledger?" Ayanda stops pacing and fixes Zuri with a piercing gaze. It's more than that, child. The ledger is only a piece of the puzzle. Biko is after something he believes will vindicate him in the eyes of this village. But he doesn't know the whole truth. Zuri's heart pounds. Then tell me the truth, Ayanda. You promised. Ayanda sighs deeply and sits across from Zuri, her hands trembling. Tumelo was not the man people think he was. His charm and success were a mask for something much darker. He betrayed me, Zuri, over and over again. And when I confronted him, I realized he'd been doing more than just betraying me. He was jeopardizing everything we had built. Zuri leans forward, her breath hitching. What did you do? Ayanda's voice drops to a whisper. I did what I had to do to protect this family, this village. But now, Biko threatens to unravel it all. If the truth comes out, it won't just destroy me. It will destroy everyone who depended on Tumelo's deals. Zuri can't sleep that night. Ayanda's words swirl in her mind, each one more chilling than the last. She tiptoes through the darkened mansion, her footsteps soft against the creaking floorboards. Her curiosity burns brighter than her fear. The ledger sits on Ayanda's desk, its leather cover glinting faintly in the moonlight. Zuri reaches for it, her fingers trembling. She flips through the pages, each one filled with Tumelo's neatly written entries. Payments, debts, names she doesn't recognize. But one name catches her eye. Mama Tembo. What are you doing? Ayanda's voice startles her and Zuri spins around, clutching the ledger to her chest. I just wanted to understand, Zuri stammers. Mama Tembo's name is in here. She's connected to Tumelo, isn't she? Ayanda snatches the ledger from Zuri's hands, her expression cold. You don't understand what you're meddling with, Zuri. These names, they represent people who would do anything to keep their secrets buried, including Mama Tembo. Zuri's voice rises, emboldened by her growing fear. Then why is she helping Biko? Ayanda hesitates, her composure faltering. Because she doesn't know the full story. If she did, she would realize that her loyalty to Tumelo will lead her to ruin. What do we do now? Zuri asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Ayanda looks at her, her eyes hardened with resolve. We prepare. Biko won't stop until he gets what he wants, and if that happens, we lose everything. The next morning dawns heavy with tension. Ayanda sits in the study, the ledger sealed in a locked drawer. Zuri paces nervously by the window, her gaze darting to the gate, where villagers occasionally linger, whispering. A sudden knock at the door startles them. Ayanda tenses, her hand instinctively reaching for the hidden compartment in her desk. Zuri hurries to the door and peers through the crack. It's Quena, she whispers. Ayanda nods for her to let him in. Quena steps inside, his expression a mix of concern and urgency. Ayanda, you need to hear this, he begins, his voice low. The villagers are growing restless. Biko's been spreading stories and people are starting to believe him. Ayanda's eyes narrow. What kind of stories? Quena hesitates. That Tumelo wasn't just a businessman, but a man who made dangerous enemies. He claims you knew and that you were involved in his death. Zuri gasps, her hands flying to her mouth. Ayanda's expression hardens. Biko is manipulating them. But why? What does he gain by turning the village against me? Quena leans closer. I've been watching him. He's meeting with someone late at night. Mama Tembo. Whatever they're planning, it's bigger than just stirring trouble. Ayanda's fists tighten. Then we need to act before they do. Quena nods. I'll keep an ear to the ground. But you need allies, Ayanda. You can't fight this alone. Zuri looks at Ayanda, her eyes pleading. Maybe we can find someone in the village who believes in you. Ayanda's gaze softens as she looks at the young girl. Perhaps, she says quietly. But trust is a fragile thing, Zuri. One wrong step, and everything crumbles. That evening, Ayanda and Zuri wait for Kwena's return. The house feels like a fortress under siege, its walls barely holding back the growing tide of whispers from the village. Ayanda sits with her hands clasped, her eyes focused on the window as if expecting Biko to storm in at any moment. When Kwena finally arrives, his face is pale and his steps hurried. "Ayanda, we have a problem," he says, closing the door firmly behind him. "What is it?" Ayanda asks, rising to her feet. Kwena's voice drops to a near whisper. "Mama Tembo isn't just helping Biko out of loyalty to Tumelo. She believes you're hiding something that rightfully belongs to her." Ayanda's brow furrows. "What could she possibly think I have?" Kwena hesitates before answering. She claims Tumelo owed her a debt, a significant one. Biko is promising to help her recover what she believes is hers if she helps him expose you. Ayanda's expression darkens. "Tumelo's debts were his to bear, not mine. I owe that woman nothing." Kwena shakes his head. "It doesn't matter what's true. Perception is everything. If the villagers believe her story, it will be hard to regain their trust." Zuri steps forward, her voice trembling but firm. "Then, we need to find proof. Something that shows Mama Tembo is lying or that Tumelo's debt has nothing to do with us." Ayanda nods slowly. "You're right, Zuri. If we can expose her motivations, it will turn the tide. But we have to be careful. Biko won't make this easy." Kwena sighs. "I'll see what I can uncover. But, Ayanda, time is running out. If Biko's plans succeed, this village may never forgive you." The next day, Ayanda decides it's time to take control of the narrative. She summons the village elders to her home, a bold move that surprises even Kwena. The elders arrive reluctantly, their expressions wary and guarded. As they gather in the study, Ayanda stands before them, her posture regal but her voice trembling slightly. "Thank you for coming. I know you have heard many things, and I believe you deserve to hear the truth. From me." The elders exchange glances but remain silent. Ayanda takes a deep breath and continues. "Tumelo was not a perfect man. He made mistakes that have cast shadows over this village. But I have always worked to protect what we built together, even after his passing." One of the elders, a stern man named Jomo, speaks up. "And what of these accusations from Biko? He claims you were complicit in Tumelo's death." Ayanda meets his gaze steadily. "Biko is a man with his own agenda. He has twisted half-truths into lies to serve his purpose. I admit, Tumelo and I had our struggles, but I would never harm him. Everything I have done has been to protect this village." Another elder, Mama Kazi, nods slowly. "And what of Mama Tembo's claims? She says Tumelo owed her a great debt and that you have denied her what is rightfully hers." Ayanda hesitates but stands firm. "Tumelo's dealings with Mama Tembo were his alone. I have no knowledge of the debt she speaks of, and I will not allow her to use it to tarnish my name." The room falls silent as the elders process her words. Finally, Jomo speaks again. "We will consider what you have said, but know this, Ayanda. Trust is not easily rebuilt. You must prove your innocence if you wish to restore your place among us." As the elders leave, Ayanda sinks into a chair, her composure cracking. Zuri places a hand on her shoulder. "We'll find the proof, Ayanda. I know we will." Late that night, Zuri is unable to sleep. Something about Mama Tembo's claims nags at her. She decides to search the study again, hoping to find anything that might help clear Ayanda's name. As she rummages through old papers in a drawer, her fingers brush against an envelope, sealed with Tumelo's initials. She pulls it out, her heart racing. The paper inside is yellowed with age, and the handwriting is unmistakably Tumelo's. The letter is addressed to Ayanda. As Zuri reads it, her breath catches. My dearest Ayanda, I know my actions have caused you pain, and for that I am deeply sorry. There are debts I must settle, secrets I must carry to my grave. I only hope that one day you will forgive me and understand that everything I did was for you and this village. If anything should happen to me, know that the ledger will hold the answers you seek. Yours always, Tumelo. Zuri clutches the letter tightly. It's not the proof they need, but it's a start. She rushes to Ayanda's room, waking her from a restless sleep. Ayanda, look at this, she says, handing her the letter. Ayanda's eyes scan the page, her face a mix of emotions. He knew, she whispers. He knew this would happen. What do we do now? Zuri asks. Ayanda's expression hardens with resolve. We follow his trail. If Tumelo left answers in the ledger, we need to find them before Biko does. The next morning, Ayanda, Zuri and Quena gather in the study. The ledger lies open on the desk, its pages revealing names and transactions that paint a picture of Tumelo's secret life. As they delve deeper, they uncover a coded entry, one that mentions a hidden safe. It must be here in the house, Ayanda says, her voice tinged with urgency. If we can find it, we'll have everything we need to expose Biko and Mama Tembo. Quena nods. I'll start searching the basement. Zuri, check the attic. Ayanda, stay here and guard the ledger. As they scatter, the atmosphere grows tense. Zuri climbs the creaky attic stairs, her flashlight cutting through the darkness. The air is thick with dust, and every shadow feels like a lurking threat. Meanwhile, in the basement, Quena's search yields an old lockbox. He lifts it cautiously, his heart pounding. Upstairs, Ayanda hears a noise outside the study window. She freezes, her hand moving to the hidden compartment where she keeps a weapon. Suddenly, a loud crash echoes through the house. Zuri screams and Ayanda rushes toward the sound. She finds Zuri at the bottom of the attic stairs, clutching a torn piece of paper with trembling hands. Ayanda, Zuri whispers, her voice shaking. This changes everything. Before Ayanda can respond, the front door bursts open. Biko strides in, flanked by Mama Tembo and several villagers. His eyes gleam with triumph as he points at Ayanda. It's over, he declares. The truth will finally come out. To find out what happens next, subscribe to our channel and don't miss episode 3 of The Millionaire Next Door Has a Shocking Secret.